I have one simple message for New Zealanders today as we head into the next 4 weeks. Stay at home. It will break the chain of transmission and it will save lives. If people do not stay at home, other than to go to the supermarket or the GP, or to get some fresh air close to your home, then you risk both spreading the virus to others and you risk getting it yourself. Breaking the rules could kill someone close to you, and that is why it is so important. Self-isolation is our best tool to beat the virus. But if you don't comply with the rules, you run the risk of forcing us to extend the period of lockdown, and worse, you could contribute to the virus defeating us and causing harm to thousands. I cannot repeat this enough. Staying at home will save lives. The government, of course, is doing our bit alongside all of you. Today, a state of national emergency has been declared across New Zealand. Through the early and hard measures we've taken at the border, using the powers under the Health Act, the signing of epidemic notices, and now being in a state of national emergency, we have all of the legislative means possible, all of the enforcement powers, all the tools we need at our disposal to combat the spread of COVID-19. In particular, the State of National Emergency Declaration allows civil defence emergency management controllers to take the necessary steps, if they need to ensure the conservation and supply of food, fuel and other essential supplies, regulate land, water and air traffic, close roads and public places, evacuate any premises including any public place, and if necessary to exclude people or vehicles from any premises or place. I also issued an epidemic notice which gives us flexibility to make common sense and pragmatic changes across our crucial governmental services to keep them functioning well during a lockdown. In particular, temporary visas will now be automatically extended until late September. Today, Parliament will also introduce and pass the COVID-19 Response Urgent Management Measures legislation bill. The Omnibus Bill amends various pieces of legislation so the government can more effectively respond to the outbreak of COVID-19. The bill amends the Residential Tenancy Act to freeze all rent increases for a specific period of time and gives the Secretary of Education emergency powers to direct education providers to open and close and direct how they operate. The COVID Cabinet met today and also made further decisions relating to our borders. Border enforcement will step up once again in line with our expectation that the proportion of New Zealanders returning home who will have potentially come in contact with COVID-19 is likely to have increased. Every New Zealander coming through our borders will be screened. If they are symptomatic, they will be tested and they will be put in an isolation in an improved facility. If they are not symptomatic, but they have no plan or ability to self-isolate, they will also be placed in an approved facility. If they live in a city outside of the one in which they have landed and have no ability to transport themselves home whilst maintaining isolation, they will also be placed in an approved facility. Those who are recent arrivals who do have an appropriate self-isolation plan will be checked on by police in the days that follow. If they are not following requirements, they will be fined and they will be quarantined. These measures are tough, but reflect the higher risk these New Zealanders pose through no fault of their own. I know they'll be as keen as we all are to keep other New Zealanders safe, and then these are the measures we must take to ensure that. I want to conclude with the discussion on essential services. We need people to stay at home so we can beat the virus. This is not an area where we want workarounds. We may need to amend the rules as we go to make sure that we are doing everything we can to beat the virus and are supporting New Zealanders as we do that. But if in doubt, you should be closed. This plan is our best shot at success. We won't get everything right every time, and we will make changes if we have to. But now is not the time to be relaxed or flexible. We do need tough rules to win the battle ahead. I know how hard this will be, especially for New Zealanders who face the first day of lockdown unemployed and with an uncertain future. We've sought to put enough financial protections in place to ensure you can get through the next period of time, that business is positioned as best it can be for a recovery, that mortgage holders don't lose their house in the next 6 months, and that renters don't face rent increases or that they don't face evictions. I know how hard this is going to be for New Zealanders already living in overcrowded, cold and damp accommodation. How hard it will be for our elderly and those who live on their own. It won't be easy, but the alternative is worse. And so as we enter into a stage that none of us have experienced before, I want to share a few final messages. I want to share the same messages I've just shared in Parliament. Firstly, you are not alone. You will hear us and see us daily as we guide New Zealand through this period. It won't always be perfect, but the principle of what we are doing is the right one. Secondly, success won't be instant. The benefit of what we do today won't be felt for many days to come. Expect our numbers to keep rising because they will. In fact, modelling suggests we could have several thousand cases before we see the measures we're taking today having an impact. But over time, we will see change if we all stick to the rules. Thirdly, you may not be at work, but that doesn't mean you don't have a job. Your job is to save lives, and you can do that by staying home and breaking the chain. And finally, if you have any questions about what you can or can't do, and you're looking for answers, apply a simple principle. Act like you have COVID-19. Every move you make could be a risk to someone else. That is how we must all collectively think now. So New Zealand, remember to be calm, be kind, stay at home. We can break the chain.